Ivanka was practically floating down the hospital corridor. Not walking, not skipping, floating. Her feet barely touched the polished floor of Grandview Medical Center as she clutched a piece of paper to her chest like it was made of pure gold. Her smile was so wide it hurt her cheeks, but she didn't care. She couldn't stop smiling even if she tried. "Excuse me, sorry, coming through." She laughed as she nearly bumped into a nurse pushing a wheelchair. The nurse smiled back. "Someone's having a good day." "The best day," Ivanka spun around once, her dress twirling. "The absolute best day of my entire life." An elderly woman sitting in the waiting area chuckled. "Let me guess, you just found out you're pregnant." Ivanka stopped and beamed at her. "Yes, how did you know?" "That's the only thing that makes a woman glow like that, my dear. Congratulations." Thank you so much." Ivanka hugged the ultrasound printout tighter and continued her happy dance down the corridor. 3 years, 3 whole years of waiting, of hopping, of praying every single month that this time would be different. And finally it was. She pushed through the glass doors into the bright Lagos afternoon, and the heat hit her like a warm hug. Everything felt perfect. The sun was shining. The birds were singing. Even the Lagos traffic looked beautiful today. "Madam, you look very happy." Old Moses, her driver, jumped out to open the car door, grinning at her joy. "Moses, I have the best news, the absolute best news." "What is it, madam?" Ivanka pressed her lips together, trying to contain her excitement. "I can't tell you yet. I have to tell my husband first. But Moses, it's wonderful. It's everything I've been praying for." "Then it must be very good news indeed. Praise God." "Praise God," Ivanka agreed, sliding into the back seat. Her hand moved to her still flat stomach, and fresh tears of joy welled up in her eyes. A baby, her baby, their baby, the little miracle that would finally complete their family. She could already imagine Nathan's face when she told him. His eyes would go wide with shock first, then fill with tears. He'd probably pick her up and spin her around right there in his office. Then he'd put his hand on her stomach and whisper something sweet to their baby. "Madam, where should I take you?" Moses asked from the driver's seat. "My husband's office, Victoria Island." "And Moses," Ivanka leaned forward, her excitement bubbling over, "please drive as fast as you can. I can't wait another minute." Moses laughed. "Yes, madam, hold tight." As the car merged into traffic, Ivanka pulled out her phone to call Nathan. Her finger hovered over his name. Should she tell him over the phone? No, she wanted to see his face. Wanted to watch the exact moment the news hit him. Wanted to capture that memory forever. She looked at the ultrasound again. That tiny little blob, so small, so perfect, so full of possibility. "Your daddy is going to be so happy to meet you," Ivanka whispered, tracing the outline with her finger. "He's been waiting for you just as long as I have. We're going to spoil you rotten. We're going to give you everything. We're going to be the happiest family in all of Lagos." The car crawled through Lekki traffic, and Ivanka didn't even care. Nothing could ruin this moment. Nothing could dim this joy. After 3 years of marriage, 3 years of trying, 3 years of disappointment, finally, their prayers had been answered. Everything was about to change. Everything was about to be perfect. Or so she thought. Because what Ivanka was about to discover in the next 20 minutes would shatter her entire world into a million pieces. The man she loved, the man she'd given up everything for, had been hiding a secret so devastating, so cruel, so unforgivable that when Ivanka finally learned the truth, the happy woman dancing through that hospital would disappear completely.
If you want to see how a thrown-away wife became a BOSS and made her cheating husband regret the day he was born, then you better smash that like and subscribe button right now. Hit that subscribe and turn on those notifications because this story is about to get absolutely wild. Trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next. Now let's get into it.
"Madam, we have arrived," Moses announced, pulling up in front of Akefer Enterprises. The building stretched 30 floors into the Lagos sky, all glass and steel and success. Nathan had built this company from almost nothing, and Ivanka had been so proud to stand by his side through it all. She'd even given up her own architecture firm when they got married. Nathan said he needed her support at home, said a man needs his wife to focus on building a family, not building buildings. And Ivanka had agreed because she loved him, because she wanted to be the perfect wife, because she thought marriage meant sacrifice. Now, looking up at that gleaming tower, Ivanka felt nothing but excitement. Today was the day everything would finally make sense. Today was the day their sacrifice would pay off. She practically skipped through the lobby. "Good afternoon, madam." The receptionist's eyes widened. "You look so happy today." "I am. Is my husband in his office?" "I think he's in a meeting on the top floor, madam. Conference room." "Perfect, thank you." Ivanka took the elevator up, clutching her bag with the printout inside like a treasure. Her heart was beating so fast. Any minute now, any second, she'd walk into that conference room and change Nathan's life forever. The elevator dinged, top floor. The executive level was eerily quiet. Most of the staff had probably gone home already. Only the soft hum of air conditioning filled the hallway. Ivanka walked toward the conference room, her heels clicking on the marble floor. The door was slightly open, and she could hear voices inside. Nathan's voice, deep and familiar. And another voice, a woman's voice, also familiar. Too familiar. Ivanka's step slowed. She told herself she was being paranoid. Nathan had female employees. This was probably just a normal business meeting. But then she heard her name. "Honestly, Nathan, I don't know how you've managed to stay with Ivanka for 3 whole years." Ivanka froze. That voice belonged to Sharon. Sharon James, her best friend since university, her maid of honor, the woman she trusted with everything. Nathan's laugh came next, cold, bitter. "It hasn't been easy, Sharon, trust me." Ivanka's hand tightened on her bag. "Keep walking," her mind screamed. "Don't listen, don't stand here." But her feet wouldn't move. "I mean 3 years of marriage and she still hasn't given you a child." Sharon's voice was dripping with mock sympathy. "Most men would have divorced her by now. She's basically barren." The word hit Ivanka like a slap. Barren. "Yeah, well," Nathan said, and Ivanka could hear the bitterness in his voice. "Marrying Ivanka was the biggest mistake of my life." Ivanka's breath caught in her throat. "Wait, what?" Sharon sounded surprised. "But you seemed so happy when you proposed to her." "I was young and stupid. I thought I loved her, thought she was special." Nathan laughed, a cold, mocking sound that Ivanka had never heard before. "Turns out she was just ordinary, boring. And from a nothing family too. Her parents, they're nobodies. Her father runs some tiny, struggling construction company. Her mother sells fabric at the market. I thought I was marrying up, but I actually married down." Each word was a knife plunging into Ivanka's chest. She pressed her back against the wall, trying to remember how to breathe. Her parents, the kind couple Nathan had met 3 years ago, the ones who'd played their roles perfectly, simple, humble people who were just grateful their daughter had found a good husband. Except they weren't her real parents at all. They were actors, paid by Ivanka's real father to test Nathan's character, to see if he would love Ivanka for herself, without knowing she came from one of the wealthiest families in Nigeria. And Nathan had failed that test spectacularly. "So why did you stay married to her?" Sharon asked. "Pride, embarrassment," Nathan sighed. "By the time I realized my mistake, we'd already had this big society wedding. Everyone knew us as the perfect couple. I couldn't just divorce her immediately. I'd look like a fool, so I stayed. Figured I'd build my empire first, then deal with the wife problem later." "The wife problem," Sharon repeated, clearly amused. "That's what you call her." "That's what she is. A problem I'm finally in a position to solve." Ivanka's vision blurred with tears. Wife problem, she was a problem. "Well, at least she hasn't given you any children to complicate things," Sharon said. 3 years and still barren. That makes everything easier." "Exactly. No kids means a clean break eventually." Nathan paused. "Or she can stay as the first wife if she wants. Keep the title while you and our son have the real family. Either way, I win." "Our son." The words hit Ivanka like a freight train. "I still can't believe it," Sharon said, her voice going soft, tender. 6 months pregnant with your baby, after everything we've been through." "I know, baby, I know." Nathan's voice was warm now, genuinely happy in a way Ivanka hadn't heard in years. "You're giving me what Ivanka never could, a child, an heir, a real family." What that barren nobody never could, Sharon corrected with a cruel laugh. Honestly, Nathan, I don't understand what you ever saw in her. She's so plain, so desperate, always trying so hard to be the perfect little wife. That's exactly why I stayed as long as I did. She doesn't ask questions, doesn't demand anything, just smiles and plays her part like a good little puppet. Ivanka's legs started to shake. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the cold floor, both hands pressed over her mouth to keep from screaming. And when she finds out about us, about the baby, Sharon asked. Nathan was quiet for a moment. By then, the mall will be finished. Sherry Plaza will be the biggest shopping center in Lagos. I won't need to pretend anymore. I can finally be with the woman I actually love. Sherry Plaza, the massive development Nathan had been working on for months, the one he said would make their fortune, the one he'd named. He'd named it after Sharon, after his mistress, after the woman carrying his child. You really think Ivanka will just accept becoming the first wife? Sharon pressed. Living with me and the baby. Ivanka, please, Nathan scoffed. She gave up her entire architecture career for this marriage. She has nothing without me. No job, no income, no real family to run back to. Those parents of hers can barely afford to feed themselves. Where would she even go? Back home like a failure. Exactly. She's too proud for that, too ashamed. She'll stay and play the role of the supportive first wife, and I'll finally have the family I actually want, with the woman who's worth something. You're terrible, Sharon said, but she was laughing. I'm practical, there's a difference. The conference room door started to open. Panic shot through Ivanka's body. She couldn't let them see her, couldn't let them know she'd heard. She scrambled to her feet and dove into the nearby supply closet, pulling the door almost closed. Through the crack, she watched Nathan and Sharon walk out together. Nathan's hand rested on Sharon's lower back, possessive, tender, the way he used to touch Ivanka in the beginning, back when she still believed the fairy tale. Sharon was glowing, one hand resting on her swollen belly, a belly Ivanka somehow hadn't noticed before because Sharon had been wearing loose dresses lately. Now it all made horrible, perfect sense. I'll see you tonight at the usual place, Sharon asked, standing on her toes to kiss Nathan's cheek. Of course, I already told Ivanka I'd be working late. Sharon smirked. You're always working late. Does that woman ever question anything? Never. She trusts me completely, like a stupid, loyal dog. They both laughed. What a fool, Sharon said. The biggest fool I've ever met. They walked toward the elevator, wrapped up in each other, completely oblivious to the woman breaking apart in the supply closet just meters away. When the elevator doors finally closed, Ivanka stumbled out. Her knees were shaking so badly she could barely stand. She looked down at the ultrasound still visible in her open bag and took it out, clutching it in her white-knuckled fist. The paper was wrinkled now, tear-stained. That tiny blob, that innocent little bean who was supposed to fix everything, who was supposed to make them happy. Nathan's baby. His second baby, though he didn't know it yet. And he just called her a fool, a stupid, loyal dog, a nothing from a nothing family. If only he knew the truth. If only he knew that the poor parents he'd been mocking were actually professional actors. If only he knew that Ivanka's real father was Chief Lawrence Miller, billionaire industrialist, one of the wealthiest men in Nigeria. If only he knew that the woman he'd married DOWN to was actually worth more than he could earn in 10 lifetimes. If only he knew that for the past 3 years, he'd been living with a secret heiress who'd been testing him, waiting to see if he could love her without knowing about the money. A test he'd failed completely. But Nathan didn't know any of that. He thought she was nobody, thought she was trapped, thought she needed him. He had no idea that the cage he thought he'd built around her had no lock. Because Ivanka had always had the key. Fresh tears spilled down Ivanka's cheeks, but beneath the pain, beneath the heartbreak, something else was stirring. Anger. Cold, clarifying, bone-deep anger. Nathan thought he could use her and throw her away, thought he could mock her family, thought he could humiliate her by bringing his pregnant mistress into their home. He had no idea what was coming. Ivanka didn't remember walking to the elevator, didn't remember riding down 30 floors, didn't remember crossing the lobby. All she could hear was Nathan's voice on an endless loop. Marrying Ivanka was the biggest mistake of my life. She's from a nothing family. The wife problem. Stupid, loyal dog. When she finally sank into the back seat of the car, Moses took one look at her face and his smile vanished. "Madam, are you well? What happened?" "Just drive, Moses." Her voice sounded strange, hollow, dead. "Take me home." "Did you see the boss? Did you tell him your good news?" "Good news?" The words tasted like poison. "No, I didn't tell him." "But madam, you were so excited." "Please, Moses, just drive." The young man nodded silently and pulled into traffic. As they drove through Lagos, Ivanka stared out the window without seeing anything. Her hand moved to her stomach, to the baby growing there, Nathan's baby. The baby he didn't want from her. The baby that would tie her to a man who thought she was beneath him. The baby who would be born into a family built on lies and cruelty. What was she supposed to do now? Tell Nathan about the pregnancy? Would it even matter? Would he suddenly stop mocking her because she'd finally managed to do what Sharon had already done? No, it wouldn't change anything. He loved Sharon. He'd probably always loved Sharon. Ivanka was just the mistake he'd made along the way, the nobody he'd married down to, the wife problem he was planning to solve. The car pulled up to their mansion in Banana Island. 5 bedrooms, a pool, a garden, a house that had never been a home. Ivanka sat there for a long moment, staring at the building. Everything inside belonged to Nathan. He'd made sure she knew that, made sure she understood that without him, she had nothing. Except it was all a lie. "Thank you, Moses," Ivanka finally whispered, gathering her things. "Madam, are you sure you're okay? Should I call someone?" "I'm fine." She met his gaze, and at the genuine concern on his face, she gave him a small, gentle smile. "I'll be fine." She walked into the house on numb legs. Mama Blessing, their housekeeper, looked up from the kit Gunpio with a warm smile that faltered when she saw Ivanka's face. All the house staff knew Ivanka as a cheerful, easygoing woman. Seeing her look so hurt and broken was a rare sight. "Madam, what's wrong? You look terrible." "I'm fine, Mama Blessing. Is my husband home?" "No, madam. He called to say he would be working late tonight." Of course he did. He was probably with Sharon right now, celebrating their baby, planning their future, laughing about the stupid wife who trusted him completely. "Thank you, Mama Blessing." Ivanka climbed the stairs to the master bedroom, the room she'd shared with a man who thought she was beneath him. She closed the door, locked it, and finally, allowed herself to fall completely apart. She sank to the floor, her back against the door, and sobbed. Deep, wrenching, body-shaking sobs that came from somewhere ancient and raw. She cried for the girl who'd believed in love, for the woman who'd given up everything to be the perfect wife, for the 3 years she'd wasted on a man who'd never valued her at all. She cried for the baby growing inside her, innocent, perfect, unaware that their father was a monster. Her phone started ringing. "Nathan." Ivanka stared at his name flashing on the screen. She could answer, could pretend she didn't know, could keep playing the role of the naive, trusting wife until he decided to spring Sharon and the baby on her. Or she hit the red button. The phone rang again immediately, then again, then again. Finally, Ivanka turned it off completely. Then she stood up, walked to the closet, and pulled out her largest suitcase. She'd spent 3 years being the woman Nathan thought she was, poor, dependent, grateful for his attention. But that woman was dead now. And it was time for Nathan to meet the real Ivanka Miller. The billionaire's daughter. The woman who'd been testing him all along. The woman who just discovered that her husband had failed every single test. Ivanka pulled clothes from hangers with steady hands now. Designer dresses Nathan thought she'd bought on credit, not knowing they were actually custom pieces from her favorite designers who knew exactly who she was. Shoes he believed were cheap knockoffs, not realizing they were limited editions. Jewelry he assumed was costume, never guessing each piece was worth more than his car. Everything went into the suitcase. She took her important documents from the hidden safe Nathan didn't know existed, her real birth certificate with her real father's name, her real passport that showed her true identity, her real bank cards tied to accounts Nathan didn't know existed, accounts that held more money than he'd see in his entire life. She left everything Nathan had given her because she wanted nothing from him, nothing except the baby growing inside her. That was hers, only hers. He would never know about this child, would never have the chance to reject them the way he'd rejected her. The bedroom door suddenly flew open. Nathan stood there, still in his business suit, looking annoyed. "Ivanka, why aren't you answering your phone? I called you 10 times. Ivanka didn't turn around, just kept packing with calm, steady hands. "What are you doing? Why are you packing?" "I'm leaving." "Leaving? What are you talking about? Where are you going?" Finally, Ivanka turned to face him, really looked at him. This man she'd loved with everything in her. This man who just called her the biggest mistake of his life. This man who had no idea who he'd really married. "I went to your office today," she said quietly. Nathan's expression barely changed. "Okay, so you could have just called if you needed something." "I heard you, Nathan, in the conference room with Sharon." Now his face shifted, just slightly. A flicker of calculation, not guilt, never guilt, just annoyance at being caught. "Ivanka, whatever you think you heard." "I heard everything." They stared at each other across the bedroom. The ultrasound picture lay on the bed between them, forgotten. Nathan's jaw tightened. Then, surprisingly, he smiled, actually smiled. "Well, I guess we don't have to pretend anymore then." The casual cruelty of it stole Ivanka's breath. "That's it, that's all you have to say." Nathan huffed, walking further into the room. "What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? I'm not. You want me to lie and say I love you? I don't, I never did." Each word was a hammer blow. "Then why did you marry me?" Ivanka's voice cracked despite her best efforts. "You made a vow before God and men to love and cherish only me, forever." "Because I was young and stupid. I thought you were pretty, thought we'd be good together." Nathan shrugged. "I was wrong. By the time I figured that out, we were already married. Divorce seemed messy, so I stayed, made the best of a bad situation." "A bad situation? That's what our marriage is to you." "What else would you call it?" "You couldn't even give me a child, Ivanka. 3 years, nothing." The irony of those words, spoken while Ivanka's pregnancy test sat just meters away, would have been funny if it wasn't so devastating. "And Sharon?" Ivanka forced herself to ask. Nathan's face softened when he said her name, actually softened like a man in love. "Sharon is everything you're not, passionate, real. She's carrying my child, my son. She's giving me the family I actually want. She was my best friend. And now she's the mother of my heir. Things change." Ivanka resumed packing, her hands shaking. "You're unbelievable." "I'm honest, finally. Isn't that better?" Nathan sat on the edge of the bed, watching her with that same annoying calm. "Look, here's what's going to happen. Sharon and the baby will move in here next month. You can stay as my first wife if you want, keep the title, the lifestyle, the social status. It's a good deal for someone in your position." "My position?" "Come on, Ivanka, let's be real." Nathan's voice took on a patronizing tone that made her want to scream. "You gave up your little architecture firm to marry me. You have no income, no career, no real prospects. Your parents are barely scraping by. You think you can go back to living in their tiny house, eating their cheap food." His smile was condescending. "You've gotten used to this life, to being Mrs. Ockhafer, to the mansion and the cars and the society parties. You really want to give all that up?" "To get away from you, absolutely," she replied with no hesitation. Nathan laughed. "You say that now, but where will you go? What will you do? You'll be a divorced woman with no money and no prospects. At least here you'd still have dignity." "Dignity? Living with my husband and his pregnant mistress." "Second wife. Let's use proper terms. This is Nigeria, not Europe. Many successful men have multiple wives. It's actually quite common in our circles. You'll get used to it." Nathan stood up, straightening his suit jacket. "Besides, you don't really have a choice. You're insane if you think I'll accept this." "Then leave." Nathan's voice went cold, hard. "But if you do, you leave with nothing. This house is in my name. The cars are in my name. The bank accounts are in my name. Everything you think is yours, it's mine. You'll walk out that door with exactly what you brought to this marriage, nothing. He stood up, straightening his suit jacket. So make your choice, Ivanka. Stay and keep your lifestyle, or leave and become a nobody again. Either way, I get what I want. Ivanka zipped up her suitcase with hands that were steady now. Steady with rage, with clarity, with purpose. You think you're so smart, Nathan. I know I am. You think I have nothing, that I am nothing. You don't, you aren't. He said it so casually, so cruelly. But that's okay. You can still have a comfortable life if you're willing to accept reality. Ivanka picked up her suitcase and walked toward the door. At the threshold, she stopped and turned back to snatch the ultrasound result from the bed before he could see it. Then she faced him one last time. You're right about one thing. The pretending is over. Good, finally some sense. But you're wrong about everything else. So wrong. Nathan frowned. What's that supposed to mean? You'll find out soon enough. She walked out of the bedroom, down the grand staircase, past a shocked Mama Blessing who'd clearly been listening. Madam, where are you going? Home, Mama Blessing, my real home. Nathan appeared at the top of the stairs. Ivanka, come back here, don't be dramatic. Where do you think you're going? Ivanka didn't answer, didn't turn around, just walked out the front door into the warm Lagos night. Moses was washing the car when he saw her with the suitcase. His eyes went wide. Madam, what's happening? Moses, I need you to take me somewhere. Can you do that? Of course, madam, anywhere. Good. Ivanka pulled out her phone, not the phone Nathan knew about, but her other phone, the one connected to her real life, the one that held numbers Nathan had never seen. Her fingers trembled slightly as she scrolled through the contacts, landing on a name she hadn't called in 3 years. Daddy. She pressed call. The line rang once, twice. Then a deep, powerful voice answered, a voice that commanded boardrooms and struck fear into competitors' hearts. Ivanka, is that you? Just hearing her father's voice made Ivanka's carefully constructed composure crack. Tears spilled down her cheeks again. Daddy, I need to come home. Silence on the other end. Then carefully, what happened? You were right about everything, about Nathan, about the test. Her voice broke completely. He failed, Daddy. He failed so badly. Another pause. When Chief Miller spoke again, his voice was pure steel wrapped in silk. Where are you? At the house, but I'm leaving. I'm leaving right now. 20 minutes, Ivanka. Don't go anywhere without protection. That man doesn't know who you are yet, and I don't trust what he might do when he finds out. The line went dead. Ivanka stood outside the mansion that had been her prison for 3 years, clutching her suitcase, waiting. Moses hovered nearby, confused but loyal. Behind her, she heard the front door open. Nathan's voice rang out, sharp with irritation. Ivanka, get back in here. Stop this nonsense. But she didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge him. Ivanka, I'm talking to you. Nathan's footsteps came closer. Where do you think you're going to go? You have nowhere. Madam said she's going home, sir, Moses said quietly, positioning himself slightly between Nathan and Ivanka. Home, this is her home, Nathan's voice rose. Ivanka, stop being childish. So you overheard me talking with Sharon, so what? I was planning to tell you eventually. You're being dramatic. Come inside. Let's discuss this like adults. I'm willing to be reasonable about the arrangements. I don't want your arrangements, Ivanka said, still not looking at him. Then what do you want? Money? Fine. I'll set up an account for you, a generous allowance. You can shop, travel, whatever you want. Just stop being difficult. An allowance. He wanted to give her an allowance from money that was barely a fraction of what she already had. Ivanka, you're my wife. You can't just leave. Watch me. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut. Mama Blessing had come out onto the porch, wringing her hands. A few neighbors' security guards had noticed the commotion and were watching from their posts. This is ridiculous, Nathan said, his voice taking on a dangerous edge. You're making a scene. What will people think? I don't care what people think. Well, I do. I have a reputation to maintain, a business to run. You will come inside now, and we will discuss this privately like civilized people. No. Ivanka, Nathan grabbed her arm. Moses immediately stepped forward shouting, Sir. Please remove your hand from Madam. Nathan's eyes widened in shock. His own driver was challenging him. You work for me, Moses. You do what I say. I work for Madam, sir. I always have. Moses's old face was set in stone. Nathan stared at Moses, then at Ivanka, confusion finally breaking through his anger. What's going on? Why is everyone acting strange? Ivanka, what did you tell them? I didn't tell them anything. They just have eyes to see what kind of man you really are. In the distance, Ivanka heard it. The sound of powerful engines, multiple vehicles approaching fast. Nathan heard it too. He turned toward the gate, frowning. 3 black SUVs with tinted windows pulled up to the gate. They weren't just expensive. They were the kind of vehicles that screamed money, power, and don't mess with us. The gate guard, recognizing something in the way these vehicles moved, quickly opened the gate without being asked. The SUVs rolled through like a presidential convoy. 6 security guards in dark suits stepped out, moving with military precision. They weren't thugs. They were professionals, elite protection, the kind that only one type of person could afford. The head of security, a tall, imposing man named Peter, walked directly to Ivanka and bowed his head respectfully. Miss Miller, we're here to take you home. The words hung in the air like a bomb. Miss Miller. Behind her, Ivanka heard Nathan's sharp intake of breath. Miss Miller, what's he talking about? Peter ignored Nathan completely, his attention focused solely on Ivanka. Your father sent us. He's waiting for you. Are you ready? Ivanka nodded, unable to speak around the lump in her throat. 2 security guards immediately moved to take her suitcase. Another opened the door of the center SUV, the one with the darkest tints, the one clearly armored. Wait, Ivanka, what's going on? Why are there security guards? Why did he call you Miss Miller? Nathan's voice had shifted from angry to panicked. Ivanka, answer me. For the first time since the SUVs arrived, Ivanka turned to look at her husband, her soon-to-be ex-husband, the man who thought she was nothing, who thought she came from nothing, who thought he could use her and throw her away. Goodbye, Nathan. Wait, no, you can't just. Who are these people? Ivanka. But Ivanka was already walking toward the SUV. Peter offered his hand to help her in, treating her with the deference usually reserved for royalty. Miss Miller, your father requests that you contact him once we're en route. He wants to confirm you're safe. Thank you, Peter. Through the window, she watched Nathan run toward the gate, watched him try to follow, watched security step in front of him. Sir, step back, please. That's my wife. Where are you taking her? Miss Miller is going home, sir. Home? Her home is here with me. And stop calling her Miss Miller. She's Mrs. Acaffer, my first wife. But the SUVs were already pulling away, leaving Nathan standing in the driveway, confusion and panic finally breaking through his calm facade. As they drove through Lagos, Ivanka felt something shift inside her. The pain was still there, the betrayal still burned, but beneath it all was something new. Power. For 3 years she'd made herself small, made herself weak, made herself dependent. All to test if Nathan could love her for who she was, not what she had. And he'd failed spectacularly. The SUV turned onto a familiar street, pulled up to gates that were 3 times the size of Nathan's. Gates that opened onto an estate so vast, so magnificent, it made Nathan's mansion look like a guest house. At the top of the driveway, illuminated by lights that made it look like a palace, stood her childhood home. And on the steps, waiting for her, was a man in traditional attire that probably cost more than Nathan's car. Tall, powerful, wealthy beyond measure. Chief Lawrence Miller, billionaire industrialist, owner of half of Lagos's commercial real estate, one of the wealthiest men in all of Nigeria. Ivanka's real father. As she stepped out of the car, her father's stern face crumbled. He opened his arms, and Ivanka ran into them, finally safe. Welcome home, daughter, Chief Miller said, his voice thick with emotion. Welcome home. And as Ivanka cried into her father's chest, surrounded by security and wealth and power, she made herself a promise. Nathan thought he could throw her away. He was about to learn the most expensive lesson of his life, because the wife he'd called a nothing was about to show him exactly what nothing felt like. Nathan stood in his driveway, watching the 3 black SUVs disappear into Lagos traffic. His mind was racing, trying to make sense of what just happened. Miss Miller, security guards, who calls their wife Miss Anything. Sir, Mama Blessing appeared at his elbow, wringing her hands. What's happening? Where did Madam go? I don't know, Nathan muttered, pulling out his phone. He dialed Ivanka's number. The call went straight to voicemail. He tried again, same thing. This is ridiculous, Nathan said, storming back into the house. She's just being dramatic. She'll be back tomorrow after she cools down. But even as he said it, something gnawed at his gut. Those security guards, those expensive SUVs, the way that man had called her Miss Miller with such respect, such deference. Nathan shook his head. No, Ivanka was nobody from a nobody family. There had to be some explanation. His phone rang. Sharon. Hey baby, Nathan answered, trying to sound normal. What's up? Nathan, I just saw something strange on the road. 3 black SUVs with tinted windows. They looked like government vehicles or something. One of them had. Was that Ivanka inside? Nathan's stomach dropped. You saw her? I think so. The window was barely open, but I could swear it was her. Nathan, what's going on? Those cars looked expensive, really expensive. It's nothing, just Ivanka being dramatic. She found out about us. She what? Sharon's voice went shrill. Nathan, you said you'd handle this. You said you'd tell her gently. Now she knows and she's going to make trouble for us. Relax, what can she do? She has nothing, she is nothing. By tomorrow, she'll realize she needs me and come crawling back. But Sharon didn't sound convinced. Those cars though, Nathan, they didn't look like nothing. After hanging up, Nathan tried calling Ivanka 17 more times. All went to voicemail. He even tried calling her parents, the struggling construction worker and the fabric seller. The numbers were disconnected. That was weird. But Nathan pushed the worry aside. Ivanka would be back, she had to be. Where else could she go? Meanwhile, across Lagos in the massive Miller estate, Ivanka sat in her childhood bedroom, a room 3 times the size of the master bedroom she'd shared with Nathan. Chief Miller sat beside her, holding her hand while she told him everything. About the conference room, about Sharon, about the pregnancy, about Nathan's cruel words. When she finished, her father's face was like thunder. That boy, Chief Miller said, his voice dangerously quiet. That foolish, arrogant boy, he called you nobody. He said you came from nothing. He doesn't know, Daddy. He thinks I'm really the daughter of those actors we hired. And you kept this secret for 3 years. 3 years of living like you were poor. 3 years of making yourself small, all to test if he could love you without the money. Chief Miller shook his head. My darling girl. I'm sorry I made you go through this test. I should have trusted my instincts. I knew that boy was no good from the start. His arrogance back then, I could almost smell it. You were right, Daddy, about everything. I had 3 boyfriends before Nathan and they were all gold diggers. You said Nathan would be the same if I told him about our family too soon. You said to wait 5 years. I was so close to the 5-year mark, just 4 months away. And then, Ivanka's voice broke. He failed. He failed so badly. Chief Miller pulled his daughter close. He didn't fail, my dear. He revealed who he truly was, and now you're free. Free to live your real life. Free to be who you really are. But Daddy, I'm pregnant with his baby. Then that baby will be a Miller. They'll want for nothing. They'll have everything. Chief Miller tilted Ivanka's chin up. And so will you. Starting tomorrow, you're coming back to work. Work? At Miller Industries. You're one of the best architects in Lagos, Ivanka. Before you married that fool, you were designing buildings that won international awards. It's time to remind the world who you really are. A spark of something, excitement, purpose, flickered in Ivanka's chest for the first time in 3 days. But I haven't worked in 3 years. I'm rusty. Then we'll shake off the rust. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I want you in my office. We have a new development project that needs your touch. Chief Miller smiled. Welcome back to the family business, daughter. The next morning, Ivanka woke up in her childhood bedroom for the first time in years. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all came rushing back. Nathan, Sharon, the betrayal, the escape. Her hand moved to her stomach, still flat. still hiding the secret growing inside. She got out of bed and walked to her massive closet. It was still full of clothes from before her marriage, designer pieces she'd left behind when she went to play poor for Nathan. Ivanka pulled out a sleek black power suit, fitted, professional, expensive, the kind of outfit that commanded respect the moment you walked into a room. She looked at herself in the mirror. The woman staring back wasn't the meek, eager-to-please wife Nathan had known. This woman looked powerful, confident, dangerous. "Let's see how much I remember," Ivanka muttered, applying makeup with practiced precision. By the time she walked downstairs, she looked like money, moved like power, breathed like success. Her father was waiting by the door, already dressed in an impeccable suit. When he saw her, he smiled with pride. "There she is, there's my daughter." They drove to Miller Industries together, a 40-story glass tower in the heart of Victoria Island. Ironically, it was just 3 blocks away from Nathan's 30-story building. When Ivanka walked into the lobby, heads turned. Employees who'd never seen her before stopped and stared. She moved through the building like she owned it. Because technically she did. She owned 30% of Miller Industries stock, a gift from her father on her 21st birthday. "Good morning, Miss Miller." The receptionist stood up so fast she almost knocked over her coffee. "Welcome back." "Good morning, Grace. It's good to be back." They took the executive elevator to the top floor. Chief Miller's office suite took up the entire level, conference rooms, private offices, a personal lounge. "This is your office," Chief Miller said, opening a door to reveal a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lagos. "I kept it ready for you, just in case you ever decided to come back." Ivanka walked to the window. From here, she could see the entire city, including, if she looked carefully, the top of Nathan's building. How many times had she visited him there, playing the role of the supportive wife? How many times had she made herself small so he could feel big? Never again. "Daddy, what's this project you mentioned?" Chief Miller spread blueprints across her desk. "A new luxury shopping mall, 300,000 square feet, prime location in Lekki. We're calling it Miller Plaza." Ivanka studied the designs. They were good but basic, cookie-cutter, nothing innovative. "Who designed these?" "External firm. They're competent but uninspired. I was hoping you'd take over, make it spectacular. Make it the kind of building that wins awards and makes competitors weep." A slow smile spread across Ivanka's face. A shopping mall, just like Nathan's Sherry Plaza, the one he'd named after his mistress, the one he was so proud of. "When does construction start?" 2 months. "Why?" "Because I have ideas, big ideas. This isn't just going to be a shopping mall, Daddy. It's going to be the shopping destination in Lagos. Luxury brands, restaurants, entertainment, art installations. We're going to make Nathan's little plaza look like a roadside market." Chief Miller laughed. "That's my girl. I'll set up meetings with the development team. You take the lead." While Ivanka was reclaiming her life, Nathan was having the worst morning of his career. He'd woken up to 17 missed calls from his bank. When he called back, the news was devastating. "Mr. Okafor, there's been some kind of mistake with your business accounts. Several of your major clients have withdrawn their contracts. We're looking at significant losses." "What? That's impossible." "Which clients?" "Premier Construction, Luxury Developments Limited, Grandview Properties. They all sent termination notices this morning, said they were moving their business to Miller Industries." Nathan's blood ran cold. "Miller Industries, that's Chief Miller's company." "Yes, sir. One of the largest development firms in Nigeria. Sir, with these losses, your accounts are going to take a serious hit. We may need to discuss restructuring your loans." After that call, 3 more came in. Suppliers demanding payment. Contractors threatening to walk off the Sherry Plaza project. Partners asking uncomfortable questions about the company's stability. By noon, Nathan was in full panic mode. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered, packing his office. "Why would all my clients suddenly leave? Why would they all go to Miller Industries?" His assistant knocked timidly. "Sir, there's something you should see." She handed him the newspaper she was holding. On the first page was a business news. Miller Industries announces return of architectural prodigy Ivanka Miller. Nathan's vision went blurry. He had to read it 3 times before the words made sense. Ivanka Miller, daughter of billionaire industrialist Chief Lawrence Miller, has returned to the family business after a 3-year hiatus. Miss Miller, who won the International Architecture Award at age 24, will be heading up Miller Industries' new luxury development division. The papers slipped from Nathan's hand. Miller Industries. Chief Lawrence Miller. No, this couldn't be right. Ivanka was nobody. Her father was a struggling construction worker. Her mother sold fabric at markets. They lived in a tiny house. They had nothing. This had to be a different Ivanka Miller, a coincidence. But the article had a photo. Nathan picked up the newspapers with shaking hands and looked at the picture. There she was, his wife, his Ivanka. Except she didn't look like his Ivanka. This woman wore a designer suit that probably cost more than his car. She stood in a corner office that made his look like a broom closet. She had her hand on her father's shoulder, Chief Lawrence Miller, whose net worth was estimated at over $5 billion. $5 billion. Nathan's legs gave out. He collapsed into his chair, staring at the photo. Sir, his assistant looked terrified. Are you okay? Should I call someone? Get out, Nathan whispered. Sir, get out. The assistant fled. Nathan sat alone in his office, his mind racing. This couldn't be real. Ivanka was poor. She was nobody. She was. His phone rang. Sharon. Nathan, have you seen the news? Have you seen who Ivanka really is? I'm looking at it right now. She's a billionaire's daughter. Nathan, do you understand what this means? We threw away a connection to Chief Miller. Do you know what that family could have done for your business? For our future? Shut up, Sharon. I need to think. Think? What's there to think about? You need to call her. You need to apologize. You need to get her back before. Before what? Before she destroys me. It might already be too late for that. Because Nathan was starting to understand. The sudden client withdrawals, the suppliers demanding payment, the contractors getting nervous. This wasn't random. This was coordinated. This was planned. This was revenge. Sharon, I have to go. Nathan, wait. He hung up and immediately tried calling Ivanka, still straight to voicemail. He called the Miller Industries main line instead. Miller Industries, how may I direct your call? I need to speak to Ivanka Miller. It's urgent. Miss Miller is in meetings all day. May I take a message? This is her husband, Nathan Akafer. She needs to. I'm sorry, sir. I have no record of Miss Miller being married. Perhaps you have the wrong person. The line went dead. Nathan tried again. Same receptionist. I told you, sir, Miss Miller is not married. Please stop calling. Not married. She'd already erased him. Erased their 3 years together like they never existed. Nathan's hands were shaking. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't. His office door burst open. Mr. Akafer, his assistant, looked panicked. Sir, there are reporters downstairs. They're asking about your wife, about Miller Industries, sir. What should I tell them? Tell them nothing. Don't let anyone up here. But it was too late. His phone was already exploding with calls from business associates, friends, even his own family. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. How had Nathan Akafer been married to a billionaire's daughter and not known it? Back at Miller Industries, Ivanka was in a development meeting when someone knocked on the conference room door. Miss Miller, I'm sorry to interrupt. There's someone here to see you. He says it's important. I'm in a meeting. Can it wait? He said to tell you it's Marcus Gunpio. Ivanka's head snapped up. Marcus Gunpio. She hadn't heard that name in years. Tell him I'll be right there. She excused herself from the meeting and walked to the reception area. And there he was, tall, well-dressed, smiling that same warm smile she remembered from university. Marcus Gunpio, the son of a Korean-Nigerian business family, the man who'd been her friend before Nathan, the one who'd asked her out multiple times but she'd always said no because she wanted a Nigerian man. The one who'd told her, when you're ready for someone who sees your worth, call me. Marcus, Ivanka couldn't help but smile. What are you doing here? I saw the news about you coming back to Miller Industries. I had to come see if it was true. Marcus looked her up and down, his smile widening. Ivanka Miller, I knew you'd come back to yourself eventually. I just didn't know it would take 3 years. You knew about my marriage. I knew you married some guy named Nathan. I knew you'd left the industry. I knew you were hiding who you were. Marcus stepped closer. What I didn't know was why. Want to tell me over lunch? Ivanka hesitated. Was it too soon? She was technically still married, still pregnant with Nathan's baby. But then she remembered Nathan's words. Marrying Ivanka was the biggest mistake of my life. She remembered Sharon's cruel laughter. She remembered 3 years of making herself small, and her answer came easy. Lunch sounds perfect. They went to Luca, one of the most exclusive restaurants in Lagos. The kind of place Nathan could never afford but always pretended he could. Over grilled fish and expensive wine, which Ivanka couldn't drink but pretended to sip, she told Marcus everything. About the test, about Nathan's betrayal, about Sharon's pregnancy. He called you nobody. Marcus looked genuinely angry. Ivanka, you've won international architecture awards. You've designed buildings that changed skylines. You're brilliant. How could anyone call you nobody? Because I let him, I made myself small. I played a role. And now, Ivanka smiled. Now I'm done playing roles, I'm done being small. I'm going to show Lagos, show Nathan who I really am. Marcus raised his glass. To the real Ivanka Miller, may she never hide again. They talked for 2 hours, about architecture, about business, about life. And Ivanka realized something. She was laughing, actually laughing, something she hadn't done in 3 years. I missed this, she admitted. Missed having real conversations with someone who respects my mind. Your husband didn't respect your mind. My husband thought I was decoration, a beautiful, useful decoration. Then your husband was an idiot. Marcus leaned forward. Ivanka, I know the timing is terrible. I know you're going through a divorce, but I need to say this. I never stopped thinking about you. Never stopped wondering what would have happened if you'd said yes when I asked you out all those years ago. Ivanka's heart skipped. Marcus, I'm not asking for anything. Not yet. I just want you to know when you're ready, when you've healed, when you want someone who sees all of you and values all of you. I'm here. Before Ivanka could respond, her phone buzzed. A message from her assistant. Your husband is outside the building. Security is holding him back, but he's demanding to see you. He's causing a scene. Ivanka's jaw tightened. I have to go. Nathan's at my office. Want me to come with you? No. This is something I need to handle myself. But Marcus insisted on driving her back. When they pulled up to Miller Industries, Nathan was indeed outside, arguing with security guards. I'm her husband. You can't keep me from seeing my own wife. Sir, Miss Miller has made it clear she doesn't wish to see you. Miss Miller, her name is Mrs. Okafor, she's my wife. That's when Nathan saw them. Saw Ivanka step out of Marcus's expensive car. Saw Marcus walk her to the door, his hand respectfully on her back. Saw them talking quietly, Ivanka smiling at something Marcus said. Nathan's face went purple with rage. Ivanka, he shouted across the plaza. Ivanka, we need to talk. Ivanka turned slowly, looked at him like she was looking at a stranger. I have nothing to say to you, Nathan. Nothing to say, nothing to say. You lied to me. You've been lying for 3 years. You're a billionaire and you pretended to be poor. I didn't lie, you assumed. And I let you assume because I wanted to see who you really were. Ivanka's voice was cold, cutting. Turns out you're exactly who I thought you might be. A user, a liar, a man who throws away a woman the moment he thinks he's found someone better. Who is he? Nathan pointed at Marcus with shaking hands. Is this why you left? You were cheating on me. Marcus stiffened, but Ivanka put a hand on his arm, calming him. His name is Marcus Gunpio. He's a friend, a real friend. The kind who values me for my mind, not just my usefulness. You can't do this, Nathan was shouting now, causing a scene. You're my wife, we have a marriage. We have a piece of paper, we never had a marriage. A marriage requires love, Nathan, respect, trust. We had none of those things. Fine, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I said. I was angry, I was confused, I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant every word. Don't forget what you said, Nathan. This marriage was a mistake. It's been 6 months since Ivanka walked away from Nathan. Now Ivanka stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of her penthouse office, one hand resting on her very pregnant belly. 9 months now. Any day, her son would arrive. Her son, not Nathan's son, not anymore. Nathan had signed away his parental rights 6 months ago in exchange for Ivanka not destroying what was left of his business. It had been an easy choice for him, apparently, especially when Sharon gave him an ultimatum. It's me and our son or that baby with your ex-wife. Choose. Nathan had chosen Sharon, just like Ivanka knew he would. Miss Miller, her assistant's voice came through the intercom. Mr. Chen is here for your 11 o'clock. Ivanka smiled. Send him in. Marcus Chen walked into her office carrying 2 smoothies and a bag from her favorite bakery. Over the past 2 years, he'd become her closest friend, her business partner, and though neither had officially labeled it, something more. Green smoothie for the lady, Marcus said, setting it on her desk. And before you ask, yes, it has all the nutrients the doctor recommended. And yes, I quadruple-checked that everything is pregnancy safe. You're going to spoil me. That's the plan. Marcus sat across from her, his expression turning serious. I have news about Nathan. Ivanka's jaw tightened. She tried not to think about her ex-husband, but in Lagos, avoiding news about him was impossible. What now? Sherry Plaza filed for bankruptcy this morning. The bank is seizing the property. Nathan's lost everything. Ivanka should have felt triumphant, should have felt vindicated. Instead, she just felt tired. And Sharon left him 3 months ago, took their son and moved in with some oil tycoon in Port Harcourt. Nathan hasn't seen his kid since. There it was, the karma Ivanka had predicted. Nathan had thrown away one family for another, and that second family had thrown him away the moment his money dried up. How is he surviving? Barely. He's living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Surrey, working as a mid-level manager at some construction firm, making in a month what he used to spend on suits. Marcus studied Ivanka's face. You feel sorry for him? No, I feel sorry for his son, that innocent baby who did nothing wrong but got stuck with Nathan as a father. Ivanka's hand moved to her own belly. Every child deserves better than that. Your son is going to have everything. You've made sure of that. It was true. In 6 months, Ivanka had accomplished more than Nathan had in his entire career. Miller Plaza, her luxury development, had opened 4 months ago to international acclaim. It had won 3 architectural awards and was already the most successful shopping destination in West Africa. She designed 2 more buildings since then, a luxury hotel and a residential tower, both already breaking ground. Forbes had named her one of Africa's most influential young entrepreneurs. And she'd done it all while pregnant, while healing, while rebuilding herself from the ground up. Speaking of your son, Marcus said carefully, have you thought about what you'll tell him about his father? The truth, that his father was a man who made terrible choices, that he chose cruelty over kindness, pride over love, but also that none of that has anything to do with who my son will become. Ivanka smiled. He's going to be a Miller, that's all that matters. Marcus reached across the desk and took her hand, gently placed a kiss on it that made her heart flutter. And when he asks about father figures, about men in his life, are you applying for the position, Mr. Chen? She asked slyly, feeling her cheeks heat. I'm saying that I'd like to be considered when you're ready, if you're ever ready. Marcus squeezed her hand gently. Ivanka, I know you're still healing. I know trust is hard after what Nathan did, but I need you to know I see you, all of you, the brilliant architect, the fierce businesswoman, the protective mother, the woman who's stronger than she knows, and I'm not going anywhere. Tears pricked Ivanka's eyes. Damn pregnancy hormones. Marcus, I'm a mess. I'm about to have another man's baby. I have trust issues. I wake up at 3 a.m. worrying about foundation permits and contractor bids. I'm not exactly a prize. You're not a prize, you're a person, a spectacular person, and that's even better. Before Ivanka could respond, her phone rang. Her father. Daddy, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong, dear, but you have a visitor downstairs. Security is holding him, but he's insisting he needs to see you. Says it's about the baby. Ivanka's stomach dropped. Nathan. Yes, should I have them remove him? Ivanka looked at Marcus, who was already standing, protective instinct kicking in. No, send him up. It's time to end this once and for all. 5 minutes later, Nathan Okafor stood in Ivanka's office, and the change in him was shocking. The expensive suits were gone, replaced by off-the-rack clothes that didn't fit quite right. The confident swagger had vanished, leaving behind a man who looked defeated, exhausted, broken. Ivanka, Nathan said, his voice hoarse. Thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes to talk. Nathan's eyes went to her pregnant belly and something crossed his face, regret, longing. You look good. Pregnancy suits you. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Right, okay. Nathan took a deep breath. I don't even know why I came, to apologize, to beg, to see if there's any chance. There isn't. I know I destroyed everything. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know that baby you're carrying deserves better than me. Nathan's voice cracked. Sharon left me, took my son. I haven't seen him in months. She won't return my calls, won't let me visit. I lost my business, my reputation, everything. And the worst part, I deserve all of it. Yes, you do. I was so stupid, Ivanka, so blind. You were everything I needed and I threw you away because I thought you were nothing, because I thought Sharon was better, and now I have nothing and you, Nathan gestured around the office, you have everything. I built this. While you were calling me nobody, I was becoming somebody. While you were mocking my family, my real family was preparing to welcome me home. While you were planning your life with Sharon, I was planning my future, a future that was always going to be spectacular, with or without you. I know and I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Your apology changes nothing. You didn't just betray me, Nathan. You revealed who you really are. You married me thinking I was poor and you treated me like I was worthless because of it. That says everything about your character. Nathan flinched. I was wrong about everything. You were never worthless. You were priceless and I was too stupid to see it. You were, but that's not my problem anymore. But what about the baby, our baby? Don't I have any right to know my own child? Ivanka's expression hardened. You signed away those rights 6 months ago. You chose Sharon's ultimatum over your own child. You chose money over morality. You made your choice, Nathan. Now live with it. I was desperate. I was scared. Sharon threatened to take everything if I didn't. And you let her, just like you threw me away when you thought you'd found something better. You're a coward, Nathan. You always have been. You make choices based on what's easy, not what's right. Marcus, who'd been standing silently by the window, finally spoke. I think your 5 minutes are up. Nathan looked at Marcus for the first time, really looked at him. Saw the protective way he stood near Ivanka. Saw the expensive watch, the tailored suit, the confidence of a man who knew his worth. Is this him, your new boyfriend, the one who gets to play daddy to my son? Marcus is my friend and business partner. What he is or isn't to me is none of your business. Of course it's not, Nathan laughed bitterly. You moved on, found someone better, someone who actually deserves you, while I'm stuck with nothing, alone, paying for my mistakes every single day. Good, maybe you'll learn something. I have learned. I learned that I'm not as smart as I thought, not as important, not as valuable. I learned that treating people like stepping stones means you end up alone at the bottom. Nathan's eyes filled with tears. I learned that I lost the best thing that ever happened to me because I was too arrogant to see what was right in front of me. Then my suffering wasn't completely wasted. Maybe the next woman you meet will benefit from these lessons. There won't be a next woman. I can barely afford rent. No one wants to marry a failure. Then you understand exactly how you made me feel, when you called me a mistake, when you said I came from nothing, when you mocked my family. Now you're living the life you thought I deserved. Nathan nodded slowly. I do understand, and Ivanka, I know this doesn't matter now, but I need to say it. I'm sorry, not because I want anything from you, not because I think it will change anything, but because you deserved to hear it 3 years ago and I never said it. You deserved respect and I never gave it. You deserved love and I never felt it. You deserved everything and I gave you nothing. I'm sorry. For the first time since he'd walked in, Ivanka felt something other than anger. Not forgiveness, not sympathy, just closure. She stood up and went to the door. "Thank you for saying that. Now leave. Don't come back to this building. Don't call me. Don't try to contact my son. You made your choice. Live with it." Nathan nodded and turned to go. At the door, he paused. "I hope your son knows how lucky he is to have a mother like you, strong, brilliant, unbreakable, everything I wasn't smart enough to appreciate." Then he was gone. Ivanka stood still for a long moment, processing. Then her legs went weak, and Marcus was there immediately, helping her to the couch. "Are you okay?" "I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. That was closure, real closure." He looked broken. "He broke himself. I just stopped trying to fix him." Ivanka looked at Marcus. "Is it wrong that I don't feel sorry for him?" "No, it's honest. He hurt you. He deserves consequences." "But his son, Sharon's son, that baby didn't do anything wrong." "Neither did yours. You can't save every child, Ivanka. You can only save your own." A week later at 2 in the morning, Ivanka's water broke. Marcus drove her to the hospital, held her hand through every contraction, stayed by her side through 18 hours of labor. And when Ivanka's son finally arrived, healthy, perfect, screaming with the lungs of a future CEO, it was Marcus who cut the umbilical cord. Marcus who held him first after Ivanka. Marcus who looked at that tiny baby like he was already in love. "He's perfect," Marcus whispered. "Absolutely perfect." "He is, isn't he?" Ivanka held her son close, tears streaming down her face. "Welcome to the world, Lawrence Marcus Miller." Marcus's head snapped up. "You named him Marcus." "Marcus is the name of a man who saw me when I was invisible, who stood by me when I was broken, who proved that good men do exist." Ivanka smiled through her tears. "If my son grows up to be half the man you are, I'll know I did something right." Marcus bent down and kissed her forehead gently. "I'm honored, truly honored." Chief Miller arrived an hour later, took one look at his grandson, and cried like a baby himself. "He has your eyes," the chief told Ivanka, "and your mother's nose. He's going to be handsome." "He's going to be brilliant," Ivanka corrected, "and kind and strong, everything his biological father wasn't." "You did well, daughter. You survived, you thrived, and now you have this beautiful boy. Nathan Okafor thought he could break you. Instead, you built an empire and created a legacy." 6 months later, Ivanka stood at a podium in front of hundreds of people at the Lagos Business Excellence Awards. Baby Lawrence was with his grandfather in the audience, probably drooling on his expensive suit. Marcus was beside them, holding the diaper bag like a pro. "I'm honored to receive this award for Young Entrepreneur of the Year," Ivanka said, her voice strong and clear. "But I want to dedicate this to every woman who's ever been told she's not enough, every woman who's been called nobody, every woman who's been thrown away like she's worthless." The audience applauded. "A year ago I was that woman. My husband called me a mistake, said I came from nothing, planned to replace me with someone he thought was better, and I believed him. For a moment I believed I was nothing." Ivanka paused, looking directly at the camera, knowing that somewhere, probably watching from his tiny apartment, Nathan was seeing this. "But here's what I learned. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see it. You are not defined by people who don't appreciate you. You are not less because someone treated you as less. You are exactly who you've always been, valuable, worthy enough." More applause. Some women in the audience were crying. So to every woman out there who's been underestimated, overlooked, or thrown away, rise. Build your empire. Prove them wrong not because you need their validation, but because you deserve your own respect. And when they come crawling back, realizing what they lost, stand tall, smile, and say exactly 2 words: "I'm done." The room erupted in a standing ovation. As Ivanka walked off stage, she saw Marcus waiting in the wings with baby Lawrence in his arms. "That was incredible," Marcus said. "It was honest." Ivanka took her son, kissed his forehead. "I want him to grow up knowing his mother never stayed somewhere she wasn't valued. I want him to learn early that walking away from toxicity isn't giving up, it's leveling up. He'll learn that. You'll teach him." "We'll teach him." Ivanka looked at Marcus meaningfully. "If you're still interested in applying for that position we talked about." Marcus's face lit up. The father figure position. Among other positions, boyfriend, partner, eventually, more if you're patient. Ivanka Miller, I've waited 3 years. I can wait as long as you need. Then stop waiting, Ivanka smiled. Because I'm ready, ready to trust again, ready to love again, ready to build something real with someone who actually sees me. Marcus kissed her then, gentle and sweet, while baby Lawrence gurgled happily between them. Across Lagos in a cramped apartment in Surulere, Nathan watched the awards ceremony on his small television. Watched Ivanka shine. Watched her accept award after award. Watched her hold her son, his biological son, with such love and pride. Watched Marcus Chen stand beside her like he belonged there, because he did belong there. He'd earned it by being everything Nathan never was. Sharon's voice came from the bedroom. "Nathan, are you done yet? I need you to change the baby." Nathan looked up, confused. Sharon was here, but she'd left him months ago. No, wait, that wasn't Sharon's voice. That was his girlfriend, his new girlfriend, Rachel. The one who said she loved him but constantly compared him to her ex-boyfriend. The one who needed money he didn't have. The one who stayed because she had nowhere else to go. Just like he'd treated Ivanka. The cycle continued. Nathan turned off the television and sat in the darkness, finally understanding what he'd lost. Not just a billionaire's daughter, not just a connection to wealth and power. He'd lost a woman who would have loved him unconditionally if he'd just been worthy of it. He'd lost someone who would have built him up instead of tearing him down. He'd lost the kind of partner people spend lifetimes searching for. And he'd thrown her away because he thought he was too good for her. Now he knew the truth. Ivanka had always been too good for him. She'd always been out of his league. He'd just been too arrogant to see it. And by the time he'd figured it out, it was far too late. Remember, the right person will never ask you to diminish yourself. The right person will celebrate your success, not feel threatened by it. The right person will lift you up, not tear you down. And if someone treats you like you're worthless, believe them. Believe that they're not capable of seeing your worth. Then walk away and build something so spectacular they can't help but watch from the sidelines, realizing too late what they lost. Because you're not nobody, you're somebody, and you always have been. That's the end of Ivanka's story. Did you love it? Smash that like button. Subscribe for more incredible stories. Comment below, what was your favorite moment? Team Marcus all the way, let me know.